In these problems, we're looking at shaded boxes and trying to write both a fraction and a decimal to express those shaded figures. We've talked before about how to make a fraction. You look at the total number of pieces that the box has been divided up into, and then the number that's shaded. You put the number shaded on top of the total number. So let's try that for this one. They're telling us this is divided into 10 equal strips, okay? And 3 of them are shaded. So the total number is 10, that's going to go on the bottom, and the number shaded is 3, that's going to go on the top. But the next part of this is, how do you write this as a decimal? And we've also already talked about the fact that in place value, you've got your ones place here, and then the next place right there is tenths. So if you want to write 3/10, you just have a 0 here in the ones place and a 3 in the tenths place. And that's all there is to it. So our decimal is 0.3 and our fraction is 3/10. Actually, both of these you could say as 3/10. All right, let's try another one. So this one looks a little more complicated. They're telling us that the figure below is divided into 100 small squares. And it looks like, yeah, 10 in a column here. So let's count this really quickly. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 columns of 10, that's 70 plus 1, 2, 3 more. So there are 73 shaded parts, and they're telling us the total number of parts is 100. So a fraction for this would be 73 over 100. And with the decimal, just like before, we had our ones place, and then our tenths place, and then the next place is the hundredths. So we're going to have 2 places after the decimal point when we're talking about hundredths. And that's good because we've got 2 numbers to fill in there. So I'm just going to fill in the 73. So tenths, you're going to have 1 place after the decimal point. Hundredths, you're going to have 2. So this is 73 over 100 for the fraction and 0.73 for the decimal, and both of these represent 73 hundredths. Let's try one more. All right, let's see. So this is another one that's divided into 100 pieces. So our fraction is going to have 100 on the bottom. And let's see, we've got the rows have 10 in them as well. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 times 10 or 40, so 40 100ths. Now you might already know that you could simplify this fraction, but we don't need to worry about that. All we need to do is write a fraction that is correct. The thing about fractions is that there's more than one way to write a fraction for a particular number, and there's one form that's simplest, and sometimes they'll tell you to simplify. But here, they're not telling you to do that. So we can just leave it as 40 over 100. Now, for the decimal, we've got our 0 in the ones place, and then we've got hundredths. So we're going to have 2 decimal places and put that 40 in there. Now, this number is the same as 0.4. So this would be correct too, but since they asked for hundredths, we can just write 0.40. Adding that extra trailing 0 is okay as well. So that's a little bit of work with writing fractions and decimals from shaded shapes.